Welcome to Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m., nourishing our souls with one more Spirit of Truth. And here we have the Spirit of Truth, the book that brings to us the truth. The Spirit of Truth, Jesus and his team, guiding us at this crucial time on earth. More than ever, we need to focus. We need to recalibrate ourselves. And several spirits, from Emmanuel to André Luiz, Eurípides Barçanufo, Bezerra de Menezes, Anália Franco, Hilário Silva, Manuel Quintão, and many others come to us to lead us into a new direction, to lead us into the courage of doing the right thing, to do the good. And sometimes we think that doing the good is about revolutionizing, killing, and doing. No swords. No swords anymore. Look at the cross of Jesus. It's a sword upside down, saying, enough, enough. We are no longer there. So today, in 2021, 60 years later, finally in English, thanks to Cardiac Radio's team, we have this book for you, for me, for us. And today the message is amazing. Walk happily, walk joyfully, walk with joy. And you may ask, but Vanessa, how can I walk with joy in this planet? Crazy. Everything is going so well. Let us listen. Where Emmanuel inspired himself to lead us into the message. Chapter 8. Blessed are the pure of heart. Chapter 8, item 1, quoting from Jesus in Matthew 5:8. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. When we have a pure heart, we see God because we are in the same frequency. Are we pure in the heart? No, of course not. That's why we're here on earth, because we're marching towards being pure. But what is to be pure? Right? Well, there's a whole chapter in the Gospel according to Spiritism. And one of the things it says is, purity of heart is inseparable from simplicity and humility, and it excludes every thought of selfishness and pride. Simplicity and humility. Are we simple? No, because we want houses with 10 rooms, 2 cars, several homes, helicopter, and a boat, and trips, and several clothes. Very complicated. Very complex, not simple. And humility, are we humble? Yeah, but it's our future. You and I are destined to be. That's our focus. The past is in the past, but the present, we want to be simple. We want to be pure in the heart, humble. Emmanuel comes, not only refers to that quote from Jesus, but he also opens this chapter, Walk Joyfully, with a quote from Paul to the Hebrews in the epistle. Paul, the Apostle Paul, writing to the Hebrews in Hebrews 12, item verse 15. Looking carefully, lest anyone fall short of the grace of God. The root of bitterness springing up cause trouble, and by this many become defiled. Emmanuel inspired in these 2 main quotes opens to you and I a lesson. Are we ready? And you say, yes, Are we ready? We ask because sometimes we are listening and surfing the internet. But this is treasure on earth. Spiritism, as Chico Xavier says, is a treasure like no other. For those who have it, we're wealthy and we need to share the wealth. That's why we have Cardiac Radio, sharing the wealth that brings us so much joy. And he says, bitter roots will always exist in human hearts here and there. Like seeds of useless and poisonous plants will always be in the fields. So bitter roots, meaning things that are difficult to process. What is difficult to process? I know you want more from Emmanuel, but let us think for ourselves. What are those bitter roots, he's saying, in the soil? Emmanuel is so true to the good news, to the master, that he brings an analogy like Jesus used to bring, the relationship with our heart and the soil. So what are these bitter roots that will always exist in the human hearts? The grudges we hold, the bitter memories. That's why he continues. However, as much as weed must be expelled to allow noble and plentiful harvest, it is essential to relegate the problem and trials that have been overcome to oblivion, so that destructive reminiscences do not germinate in the soil of the soul, producing the sour fruits of unfortunate words and actions. Some of us say, I want so much to change, to be better, to this and the other. And here we have Emmanuel saying the root cause of unfortunate words and actions we put out. It's in the heart. Destructive reminiscences. Destructive reminiscences. Helpful hands will remove the weed around the nascent crop, and a valiant attitude must remove the bitter memories liable to disturb the path. So he repeats, bitter roots, destructive reminiscences, and bitter memories. We need to teach our children how to archive. And when we say archive, doesn't mean to allow it in, but how to process things that are difficult. Because if they don't learn it from childhood, they're going to have a hard time later. Teaching forgiveness, forgetfulness of the wrongs, forgetfulness of evil, and focusing always, like always, on the good. If someone has brought you, says Emmanuel, if someone has brought you harm, or if someone has hurt you, think about that damage and wounds you have caused to others, often without noticing. And as much as you expect to be excused, forgive as well, without any restrictions. In this sentence, he says it all. When you go to nursing homes, or you see even youth, nowadays, sometimes they are worse than elderlies because they hold so much grudge against the parents, against the friends, that they don't find a way out. Nursing homes, sometimes you see people are always like accumulating. We need to cleanse the heart. But Vanessa, it's so hard to forgive. I agree. There was a time I was having a hard time forgiving someone. And I talked to Mentor Joseph, said, so hard. I know I should forgive, but I don't know how. And then he kindly said, Vanessa, do you think you are a real victim in that scenario? And I was surprised. I was like, what do you mean? Because the way you're thinking, he said, you're considering yourself a victim as if you have not attracted that scenario. Do you think that the divine justice, orderly as it is, would allow such an abnormality to happen now in life? And he said, no. And he continued, then remember in the past, it's possible you've done even worse. And this is just a tiny bit. And I said, thank you, Mentor Joseph. It's a must. Forgiveness. It's charitable. It's in the law of justice, love, and charity. It's a must. We can't escape. But Emmanuel explains here, if someone has brought you harm or if someone has hurt you, think about the damage and wounds you have caused to others, often without noticing. And that's the worst. We do things we don't notice, people are hurt. And we want to be excused and forgiven. But we have a hard time when it's our turn. We need to work on it. He continues, observe the wisdom of God in nature. The wellspring dissolves the debris that accumulate on it. The light does not make a collection of shadows. Walk joyfully and build the good, because only the good will remain. Listen to this. This is the highlight. Walk joyfully like the spring. It goes through clear crystal and washes away the debris. The light, where there's light, there's no shadow, so it doesn't collect shadows. Did we get it? When we focus on the mistake of somebody, we're focusing on the shadow. The shadow doesn't exist. What is a shadow? Look at this. Look at this. Look at the shadow on me. You see here? The shadow that this bookmark is causing. But what is this shadow? And instead of looking at the bookmark, we're looking at the shadow. The shadow is nothing. It's just the absence of light in that corner, in that little piece of mind. So when we focus on our mistakes, when we focus on others' mistakes and wrongdoings, we're looking at the shadow. It's as if we're looking at the shadow that this is creating instead of looking at the real thing. The shadow doesn't exist, but the good will always remain. Build the good for the good. And whatever pain you have suffered, says Emmanuel, remember that tomorrow everything will be better if you do not borrow gall or vinegar in your heart. So let's say I take a cup, a bottle, and start pouring in. This person did this to me. This person did this to me. This person. And then at the end of the day, it's full. If I collect the vinegar of my grudges, my bitterness. How is it going to be? We need to clean the heart. Forgive. Forgive always. Forget. Always. Forgive and forget. And always humble ourselves. That's when humility comes. Because we only take offense when we are proud of ourselves. We think, how did that person do this to me? To me. To me who? To you, meaning you're human being, right? If God allowed people to make mistakes, who are we to fight against? We can help. But when we enter a duel, go back to the gospel. The next chapter, after blessed of the pure of the heart, chapter 9, the meek and the peace-loving, and it talks about dealing with anger, patience, being kind. This is why we are on earth. So he's inviting us to be light, because if we don't carry this bottle of vinegar or gall in our hearts, our life is going to be easier. We're going to float and walk joyfully. So if you're asking, what is the exercise for the next 24 hours? Because if we don't feel the scripture, it's nothing. Jesus said to Nicodemus, according to the good news, he said, it's not enough to know the scriptures, we need to feel it. So you and I are being invited today to feel it. And the command is to walk with joy, building the good, because the good is all that remains. So in the next 24 hours, you're going to be asked to walk with joy. Think about when you're walking, think, am I walking with joy? When you stand up, you wake up, go to the bathroom, go to the kitchen, go out the door, go to the backyard. Think, am I walking joyfully? Meaning, am I focusing on building the good, or am I focusing on the shadows of the past? Oh no, every day is a mess in my work. Oh, this family, this relationship, it's so hard. And then wake up with a cup full of vinegar. We can't walk joyfully. So let us empty this out. Empty out today. Tomorrow, don't need it anymore. Throw it away. No accumulation. And let us transform these bitter reminiscences, these bitter memories. Let us transform the bitter roots in the soil of our hearts, extracting them to sow the good, because only the good will remain. You and I are child of the light, and the light does not make collection of shadows, says Emmanuel. Okay? Does not. So let us walk joyfully. Can you imagine one day when we at Cardiac Radio are able to do the walk like in our streets, in our cities, simultaneously, everywhere we go, it's going to be a walk of joy. And we're singing, joy to the world, the Lord has come. He is in our hearts. And life's so much easier, life's so much easier that I feel singing along, right? That we feel like singing along. And it's so good to be here, right? Let's walk joyfully, shall we, friends? Thank you for being here with us one more time at Cardiac Radio, where we're always, always, always nourishing our souls. See you tomorrow, friends.